Hey there guys, I'm Chef Luke, a private chef from northern Wisconsin, small town America. I'm not some pedigreed chef with a fancy degree or elaborate culinary background. I'm a self-trained mutt who's earned his place in the dog show. I oftentimes am booked a year out. I have a small staff that supports me and a beautiful mobile kitchen that I had designed down in Georgia, outfitted with the finest Wisconsin-made Alto Sham equipment. From feeding professional sports athletes, music artists, or a film star every now and then, I want to show you that cooking is for everyone, and I want to take the pretentiousness out of cooking. We're going to check the egos at the door, and I'm going to show you how to make a couple of very special dishes today. Steak au pois, as well as crème brûlée. All of these ingredients, for the most part, are Wisconsin stores. Whether it's the heavy cream that we source from a Wisconsin dairy farm, to the beef, to one of our sponsors, Drink Wisconsinly, to my title sponsor, Alto Sham, who only believes the best will do. Now today, let's get started with dessert. Life's too short. We're gonna go ahead and jump right into our crème brûlée. So crème brûlée is actually a pretty simple dessert. There isn't that many ingredients that go into it. It really speaks to the food that I believe in. You know, sourcing the best ingredients possible and just simplicity and execution. As you can see, what is there? There's 5, 6 different ingredients here. This is something that's going to need to be planned ahead a little bit because it is going to take some time to cool. Another reason why we're starting with dessert. So we're going to go ahead with our heavy cream as well as our salt and our vanilla. And we're going to take this over to the stove. We're going to get it warm in a saucepan. Not hot, just warm. So it mixes nicely with our egg mixture we're going to make here. So, like I said, there isn't much to this, guys. But the first thing we're going to do is get this warmed up. Remember I said that this doesn't need to be hot, it just needs to be warm. A lot of times you look at your knobs and it has high, low, medium. Don't ever go by that. Look at your flame. Let the flame tell you what's high, low, and medium. So like right now, that says medium. To me, that's high. So I'm just going to get this real low as the flame will go. And then it's just easy. We're going to go ahead and add our heavy cream. That's pretty much our base to this dessert. We're going to go ahead and add in our salt. Obviously, salt doesn't do much for this dish besides just kind of elevate the flavor. Salt is a flavor elevator. We're just going to mix that around. Guys, we're just going to forget about that for a little while. Okay, so let that sit. Keep an eye on it. We don't want it to simmer. Remember, we're just letting it get warm. The next thing we're going to have to do is do our sugar yolk mixture. So what we've done is we've gotten farm fresh eggs, of course. We're going to use the best ingredients possible, guys. You're going to hear me say that over and over again. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to add our egg yolks. And then we have our sugar. This is going to give sweetness to the crème brûlée. We're just going to add that right in, okay? Bring this up, and what we're going to want to do is, obviously egg yolks are yellow, but what we're going to do is mix in that sugar, make it stiff so our base can set, and then we're going to add our cream mixture. So I'm going to go ahead here and mix this. Might take a little while. Again, one way to know that it's kind of there, it starts out almost like a gold, a really gold color. The more it mixes, the lighter it's going to get. If you can almost get it white. Okay, great. That is what I'm looking for right there. I am going to bring this down, and now what we are going to do is I'm going to bring my cream mixture over. I'm also using a little bit of vanilla extract. You can use vanilla bean, but if you use extract, you're going to want to add this in at the end. So I'm going to go ahead and add that. Take your whisk. Make sure that's all mixed up. Obviously, crème brûlée is synonymous for flavor notes of vanilla and maybe a little bit of yolkiness from the egg. I'm just going to go ahead. We're going to mix that right in. So I didn't add all of it right away. I am going to bring this up, mix a little bit at a time. I put about half my mixture in. Going to mix that up really nice. We want it to mix really evenly. Once it looks like it's all melded together, we're gonna go ahead and add the rest. You can do that while it's mixing, or you can do it when it's not, and then just get it mixing again. I'm happy with that. Okay. All right, guys, so one thing we're gonna do, we did everything possible to make sure this mixed thoroughly. But what we're gonna do also is make sure that, you know, there's gonna be some sugar that may have not mixed proper. We're gonna send it through our mesh screen here. So we're just gonna put this into a new bowl, send this through. This is also gonna help take out some of the bubbles. We don't want any bubbles in our creme brulee. We want this to be a luxurious special dessert, eh? So let's make sure we get it there. And as you can see, it isn't critical, but it's the little nuances that you can do to make sure that that this turns out special. As you can see, I mean, we have some sugar that didn't really get mixed in. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this to our fridge, let this cool for 5 hours, and then we're gonna continue on with our process. Alright, so it's been about 5 hours and about 3 old fashions. We're ready to start our creme brulees here. So we have special creme brulee ramekins here. We're just gonna go ahead and grease all these. You know, we don't have to do anything special with this, just regular cooking spray will do. Go ahead. And what we're gonna do is fill them up about halfway to 2/3 of the way. Just be really careful. If you don't have a steady hand, well then put it in a vessel with the spout, but I think we can manage. And if you noticed how nice and just sleek this looks, that has to do with sending it through that mesh sieve as well. So again, it's the little things you do that set you apart. It's the little nuances that make a difference. But I'm telling you, this is one of the easiest desserts to make. And like I said, I have some pretty special clients who cannot get enough of this. This is enough to make about 5 or 6. This made 5 really nice ones. And then what we're gonna do is, it's important that we have a pot of boiling water. We have this, it needs to be in a boil. And then we need to give it a water bath, almost something like what you would do with the cheesecake. And you can use anything for that. You can use a roaster. I use cast iron for cooking all the time, whether it's searing a steak, whether it's doing venison chops. That's big in Wisconsin, venison. It's just a great multi-purpose tool. So we'll go ahead, add those right in. And then what we're gonna do is, I'm gonna just take a little bit of water here with this Pyrex. We're gonna wanna fill these up about, so they're about halfway up the creme brulee ramekins. But you wanna be careful, you don't want any water to get into that creme brulee, otherwise it's not gonna set right. So just, if anything, err on the side of caution. Maybe only put it up the water level to maybe 1/3 high, but no more than half. As you can see, it didn't take much to do that. And this water just was boiling. We're just gonna drop that right in. So now our water level is, like I said, about to 1/3 of the way up the ramekins, no more than half. I am gonna go ahead and very carefully put this in the oven, and we are going to cook these for about 20-30 minutes. But it's really important that we cook to temperature, not time. Chefs cook to temperature. That's why it's important to have a good instant read thermometer, and that's why I love these Thermopens. It's within like a 1/2 degree, so I know exactly where my temperatures are. My reputation depends on it. So I'm gonna go ahead and add this into the oven, okay? So if you do this enough, you can do it just with the eye test, right? When you're looking at these creme brulees, you want the outside to be pretty well set, and the center should be able to jiggle just a little bit, real similar to kind of what you're looking for in a cheesecake. But we have our instant read thermometer by Thermopen, and the proper internal temp is between 170 degrees and 180. I like to go on the side of 180. I like to make sure mine are set because I don't want that custardy texture. I want something just a little bit firmer. So I'm gonna go ahead and check these. And I'm looking and we have exactly what we need. We just hit 178 degrees. It isn't perfect, you know, but the carryover cook is gonna get us up to that 180. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull these from the oven. All right, so we decided that we hit our desired internal temp, and then we had to let them cool. First of all, you do not want to just go from oven to fridge. What we did is we let them set until they got to room temperature. That took about 30 minutes to an hour. Then we put them in the fridge. We're about an hour later right now, and now they're nice and cool, because with creme brulee, you want that nice warm top and the cool custard on the inside. But we're here, and it's just I'm making these for 2 people. So actually what we're gonna be able to do is wrap up 3 of these saran, save them for a later date. But make sure you saran them, put them in the fridge so it doesn't absorb different odors or different flavors from other foods in your fridge. So we're gonna go ahead. These turned out really nice. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our sugar. This isn't anything special, it's just the sugar you have in your cabinet. And we're gonna take a little bit, always disperse from up top. You get a little bit better coverage that way. Don't be afraid to make a little bit of a mess, guys. This is gonna happen. You know, not everybody has a creme brulee torch. As a matter of fact, like I said, we're here in New York. They confiscated my torch at the airport, so in a pinch we had to go to the hardware store across the road, and this is literally a plumber's torch. Okay, this works. It's going to work. So we're gonna go ahead and brulee the top. There's other things you can do as well to get this nice top that is synonymous with creme brulee. You can actually heat a spoon and press that on top of the custard, or you can put it nice and tight up to your broiler. But I mean, this is a lot more fun, right? So we're gonna go ahead. You don't want a super strong flame, because we don't want to warm up that custard so much that it is warm. We really want that contrast in not only texture with the hard top and the creamy center, but the temperature, hot and cold, right? So we're just gonna keep it away. We're gonna take our time. You spent so much time putting this together. This is not where you want to try to rush this, guys. The big thing is just not keeping the flame in place for too long. You want to move it around. And if it takes a couple times to get your crust, that's fine. Again, this is an elegant dessert. You cannot rush elegance. Okay, so I like that. I have the nice crust that I'm looking for, and that what is synonymous with creme brulee. And we could be done here, but it's all about leaving your dinner guests feeling special, making them, it's going the extra mile, right? Now, because we're only cooking for 2 for this particular dinner, this is enough. But at times when I cook for that athlete, he eats 2 at a time, so this would be enough for him. But what we're gonna do is, this is pretty simple. We just went to the grocery store, we got some fresh mint. You can find that at any grocery store, even budget grocery stores, and some fresh berries. It's that easy, guys. So what we're gonna do though is we're not just gonna pick any old mint leaf and put it on there. We wanna find mint towards the top of the stalk. That's the newest growth on the mint plant, and it's just gonna present a little better. But we're just gonna go ahead, we're just gonna poke that guy right there. Yeah, I like that. We're gonna do the same with this one. That looks nice. So now we're getting color contrast, and again, it's the little things you do just to show you care, right? And we're just gonna put some fresh berries. You always try to plate in odd numbers. Food science shows you that that is more appealing. They've actually done studies on that. They actually hooked certain people up to monitors and monitored the brain, and it shows plating in, you can have no more than 3 colors on a plate, and plating in odd numbers overall is more desirable. So, you know, maybe put 5 berries on, put 7, but don't put 2 or 4 or 6. It just doesn't hit right. So we're gonna go ahead And this is our creme brulee. Now, if you wanted to take it a step further, you could put a nice little saucer under it and really pile on the berries. But we're making a decadent meal ahead of this, so this is going to be plenty adequate. So here's our creme brulees, guys. And now we're going to go on to our mains. One of my favorite dishes. Again, it speaks to simplicity and execution. Steak au poivre. While the name sounds intimidating, it's really not. I want to show you what that's all about. So I just want to get something out of the way before we continue on with our beef tenderloin here. I am Harry Connick Jr.'s brother. He got pretty famous. He never did anything for me, but he'll even probably try to deny that I'm his brother, but I am. But anyways, we got that out of the way. Now let's talk about beef tenderloin. A beef tenderloin is to what a pearl is to an oyster, right? It's the best part of the steer, so we need to treat this with respect. We got this from our local butcher in Wisconsin. Wisconsin beef is the best. I mean, Midwest beef in general. But as you can see, this doesn't look real good, does it? So what we're gonna have to do is clean this up. This top layer is called silver skin. Silver skin is connective tissue. If we leave that on, it's gonna be like chewing rubber bands. It's not good. It's gonna be tough, and if you're having a dinner party, you might even hear jokes cracked like, boy, this steak is so tough, I can still see where the whip marks are when the jockey was hitting it. So we need to get this cleaned up. So what you want is a flexible knife, something that's going to be able to kind of work with the silver skin. We need to get under it. Don't use your chef's knife. And what we're going to do is work starting down here towards the tail. There are three parts to a tenderloin. You have the head, the barrel, the best part, and the tail. I always like working down from the tail. And what I am going to do is very carefully pinch this, get right under this, and you may struggle the first time you do this. I was a butcher for about 10 years before I started being a full-time private chef, and this is something we did often for people in the butcher shop. And as you can see, we're just taking our time, and you cut right up here, cut through. You're gonna have a little bit of meat on it. I've done this for years, but you may end up with a little bit on the silver skin. That's okay, but what we're trying to do is minimize that. Because after all, this is not a cheap piece of meat. Again, this is the pearl to an oyster. So we're just gonna work this down. And at times, if you can, you might have to flip it. And again, we're just giving it a shave, right? Cut that right out, that's garbage. Give it to your dog, throw it in the trash, I don't care what you do with it. It doesn't belong on a dinner plate. Just gonna keep going. As you can see, the silver skin actually kind of digs in here. I'm gonna cut that out. You cut towards you, which is never a good thing. Be darn careful though. And you're just gonna be moving this around a lot. Just keep going. Don't worry about the discoloration here. That just has to do with it being packaged and oxygen not getting to the meat. Oxygen is actually what gives it this vibrant color. And then what we're going to do is flip it over. There's more. You're not done. If you don't want to hear that joke about your steak being as tough as a derby horse, you're going to have to continue on with the process here. Right on the lobe here, we have a little bit of silver skin. We just want to, just trust me, it's there. Just want to go ahead, just peel that out. Okay? And every one of these is a little different. You want to look to see if there's any undesirable, something that doesn't look good to you. Get it out of there. So I'm just going to poke this out. And then we have something called the fat chain down the back. As you know, fat is flavor. We want fat, especially with the filet. Filet needs a little bit of help in the flavor department, but this is just a little excess. It's not going to present well on the plate, so we're just going to take this flap, just take that off. Again, do not take off all the fat, but anything that's just a little excess, go ahead. Okay. And this is a far cry from where we started. This is nice and clean. And now what we have to do is get this cut so we can go ahead and continue on with our dish, steak au poivre. Now I told you there's three parts. There's the tail, there's the barrel, and there's the head. The head, a lot of times what I like to do is cut it off right about here, tie it up, roast it in the oven. I'm just gonna show you how to steak this out, like a butcher would. And I'm going to show you how to do it so it looks like everybody's getting a center cut. So what I'm going to do is, if you look real close here, we're going to cut this lobe off, okay? Go ahead and do that. We have this piece of meat here. I'm going to square this off. Yes, I know it's a little bit of waste, but at the end of the day, you can do stew meat or something with that, but at the end of the day, I want everybody to get the princess cuts. My reputation depends on it. And what we're going to do is we're going to start staking these out. So there's a couple nice steaks. Again, if it's uneven, I mean, unless you have somebody at your dinner party you don't like, you could just cut it here and serve it to them. But I like everybody at my dinner parties, so I'm just going to square this off. We're just going to continue on and cut our steaks. Now, if you don't want to go through this process, you don't want to mess around with it, you can go to your local butcher and use this term. You'll impress them. This is a term we use in the butcher shop all the time. Ask for a barrel cut. That's the centerpiece. Now remember, this is the pearl to an oyster. You're getting the best cut of the best cut if you ask for a barrel cut filet. And that's where we're at now. As you can see, I missed a little bit of fat. That's excess. We don't want that. Just going to cut that out. And now we're going to cut our Barbie doll cuts out of this tenderloin. If you did something bad to the wife during the week, this is the cut you want to give her to make up for it. This will put you back in good regards with her. You really want to impress your mate. Now we have some nice looking steaks here. So we have that. And once you get down to a certain part of the tail here, I typically don't use it, okay? What you can do is you can do beef tips with it, you can add it to our scrap pile, make some stew meat with it. But let's just say you had your 8 or 10 people coming over for a dinner party, and all of a sudden Steve, the neighbor, finds out about it, and well, you gotta feed Steve now. But all you have left is a tail. I'm going to show you how to make this look like a center cut, but this is Steve's steak. He's not getting center cuts. So what we're going to do is we're going to make 3 cuts right here, okay? 3 cuts. We're going to fold this under. Boom. We don't like Steve, but Steve thinks we like him because it looks like we're still giving him a center cut. So that's how you stake out a whole tenderloin and save you a little bit of money in the process. Now what we're going to do is we're going to continue on. I showed you how to break down the primal, and we are going to start the cooking process of steak au pois, a dish that's been absolutely huge for Julia Child, and it's something she also believed in, just simplicity and execution. We're also going to make a real special sauce to pair with it, so I'm excited to show you that. Alright, so now we've cleaned up our beef tenderloin. We're going to go on and we're going to make our steak au pois. Now, steak au pois was typically reserved for royalty back in the medieval days. That's how old this dish was. It used peppercorns for the outside, and back then, peppercorns were actually used as currency. So that's where the term peppercorn rent comes from. But instead of fine fillets like we're using today, they would use venison. But let's be honest, that pepper was to cover up the gaminess of the venison because they probably didn't take real good care of it in the field. But again, we have our fillets. We're gonna go ahead. You can use a medley of peppercorns. I just like black peppercorns, so that's what I'm gonna use. I'm gonna go ahead, grab a zip top bag, grab it right out of your drawer. You don't need anything fancy. Again, this is not hard. Just because it has a fancy name or a couple steps doesn't mean that you can't do it at home. We're going to go ahead, make sure all the air is sucked out. We're going to grab this meat mallet we have in the kitchen. If you need to, grab a hammer. But the big thing is making sure we don't crush these peppercorns up so fine that they're going to burn in our cast iron pan. We literally just want them broken. So I'm going to go ahead here, set my drink aside. So now we have our peppercorns crushed up nice. When I'm doing big dinner parties, I make this dish, but a lot of times it takes a while to put these dishes together. That's why I have Alto Sham heat cabinets aboard my commercial mobile kitchen. And it just allows me to get plates out hot, fresh, and diner number 1 is getting the same experience as diner number 14. That's why I invested in Alto Sham equipment. So now we have our peppercorns. They're crushed up. And if there's a few whole ones, guys, that's okay, all right? Put it right on the board. Now we're gonna take our beef fillets. I went ahead and I pre-salted these, and I actually dry brined them a day ahead of time. You don't have to do that. We'll get into that in a different episode, but now I'm literally just gonna take this fillet and mash it in, okay? Don't press too hard. This isn't a patty melt. You don't want this to turn into like, oh boy, it's as thick as a hamburger. You want it to keep its form, but that's kind of what we're looking for right here. Again, if you didn't get it good enough the first time, put it back down, all right? I'm just gonna work with those two. Now, I'm gonna go over here, and this is important. You need to remember this. We need to use a pan. My God, don't use the non-stick pan that your wife loves to cook your eggs in or saute spinach. This isn't gonna turn out. That's the only place that non-stick has in my kitchen. I do most of my cooking out of cast iron, but make sure you have a pan like this. So as this is warming up, I just want to talk to you a little bit about the Wisconsin-based company Alto Sham. They started as a very small company, family company, and they've sprouted into this international powerhouse that is synonymous with quality and just consistency. The beautiful thing about Alto Sham is that if I ever have a problem, which never happens, but when I call, they pick up on the first ring. It's like having a powerhouse on your side, but still having that mom and pop shop mentality. That's why I invested in Alto Sham, and I equipped my whole mobile kitchen with Alto Sham equipment. Cook and hold ovens, smoke and hold ovens, and heat cabinets. And that's why I'm able to do things other private chefs can't do. I can do exactly what a restaurant, a brick and mortar restaurant can do with my Alto Sham mobile kitchen. So with that being said, we're just letting our cast iron heat up. We don't need to do crazy things to make a special dish. I'm here to show you that anybody can cook. I don't have a culinary degree. We're gonna take this Kerrygold Irish butter. We wanna use Irish butter because it has a higher fat content. If you even look at the butter, it actually is, you know, American butter is almost white. You see how this is almost gold? It's a much richer butter. So we're just gonna go ahead and add that in. There is one downfall with butter, guys, and that's this. It doesn't have a very high smoke point. So what we're gonna need to use is avocado oil once this melts down to kind of coat the fat cells of the butter so we can get a higher smoke point. We all make mistakes. I make them often. You just gotta know how to fix them. I added too much butter to the pan. I wanna get a sear on my steaks, so if there's that much butter, it's not really gonna work out. So, this isn't hard. We're just gonna grab our paper towel. We're just gonna take some of this butter out. Because remember, we need to get the avocado oil in here to cover the fat cells so we don't have a bitter, burnt fat. That will transfer onto the food, and then it's just gonna be, it's not gonna be as great of an experience. So I'm gonna go ahead, just take some more of this out. That's about what you're looking for. I'm gonna let this just cook down just a little bit. Then we're gonna add our avocado oil. You could use grapeseed oil as well. And then we're really gonna get cooking here, and this process is gonna happen quick. All right, so we have our avocado oil. Just gonna add a little bit of that in. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead, mix this all together. You know, this may even be a little avocado oil heavy, that's fine. One of the things everybody knows is temperature means everything when cooking. Everybody probes the internal temp of their meat. What people aren't doing is checking their surface temps. Yes, chefs in the stuffy kitchens know this, but me and a lot of home chefs may not have known that right off the bat. So I have this Thermapen Surface Pro, and right now it's reading just under 300 degrees. You know, that's not even close to being ready. So we're gonna let this get to a range of 400 up to 475 degrees. That is when our steaks are ready for the heat. So we're just gonna wait for that. We're not in a rush. Maybe we need to kick up our heat a little bit. And like I said earlier, don't rely on these dials. Samin Nosrat, one of the well-known chefs, if you read her book, Salt, Fat, Acid, Heats, that's one of the first things she does when she gets a new stove. She actually wipes off all of the labeling on her knobs and labels it herself based on the flame, okay? We don't have to go that far, just look at your flame. Alright guys, so we're right where we need to be. I'm just gonna check this really quick. So we're just about to get to 400. It's gonna keep climbing. That's good enough for me. Now we're gonna take our steaks, guys, these beautiful fillets, and this is important, we're gonna put them naked side down. See? Listen to that sizzle. Now if you remember anything from me today, I'm gonna keep preaching this. We cook the temperature, we do not cook the time. So we're gonna let the fillets tell us when they're ready. And you know, everybody sees chefs, maybe not with steaks, but doing the fancy move and moving their steaks around. You aren't doing anything. Do not worry the food. Let it get good contact, let it get a good sear. Nice and easy. Alright, so I am gonna go ahead. I cooked these steaks 2/3 of the way, naked side down, but I do want a nice top for a presentation side. That's kind of what you're looking for, that nice browning effect, right? We're gonna let this go for maybe a couple more minutes, but we're gonna make sure we check it with our temp. This guy's really close. It's actually at 115, 120. I want to make these a little closer to medium rare, so I'm going to let them climb a couple more degrees, and then the carryover cook is going to get them to where we need them to be. I'm going to go ahead and take a drink here, and we're going to continue on with our special sauce made with Wisconsinably brandy. So you'll notice when you're done cooking your steaks, you're going to have all these little brown chunks, all of these. It's going to be a mess. You're going to think, oh, we just need to wipe that out. That's garbage. My goodness, no, that's chef's gold. That's called fond, and that is a flavor powerhouse, and we're going to incorporate that into our sauce. And how we're going to do that is through a process called deglazing. Now, this next part I'm going to show you, it's not dangerous, but if you have the kids around, just tell them to back up a little bit. It's kind of a neat party trick. Typically, we'll do this off heat. What we're going to do is add our brandy. You're going to hear it sizzle, and then we're going to light it. Once it is done, when the flames leave, then we know that the alcohol is cooked out. Okay, it's going to take a second, but this is going to help lift up, or the technical term, deglaze the pan. And now, it's as clean as it was when I first started cooking, which is huge. That tells me all of that flavor is going to be lifted off. So it's about done here. And again, now we're going to add this back to the pan. Oh, this is beautiful. We're going to go ahead and add our Wisconsin cream, and we're going to incorporate all of this together, guys. This is when you're going to want to make sure you get this fairly to almost a boil. And don't worry, it's gonna turn out, guys. This all takes time. It's gonna start to simmer, and it's gonna bubble, and then what we're looking for is consistency, okay? We're not looking for a temp or, oh hey, it's been 5 minutes, pull it, because every flame is different, every stove is different. We're looking for consistency. And now when you start to see this cream turn color and get incorporated with our drippings, our caramelized bits, even the most trained chefs, whether they want to admit it or not, they make mistakes too. It's just knowing how to fix those mistakes. So if this does get too thick, we'll just add a little bit of our brandy or cognac to thin it out. What's nice about when I'm doing this for a big group, I can have all of my sides, all of my sauces mailed in ahead of time because I have my Alto Sham holding cabinets on my mobile kitchen. it's nice. It's like having another set of hands in the kitchen. This is getting really close. Yeah, I like that, eh? So if you look now, this is the earliest that I would pull the sauce, when you can start to leave a trail in the pan. This is still pretty darn loose, but if you really wanted to, you could start thinking about it. We're not satisfied with that. We're gonna keep going, but let it be known it's gonna come together quickly now. All right, guys, so we just got done with our sauce. We went ahead, we didn't show you this because I felt our time was better spent talking about other aspects of the meal, but we made some homemade fries, tossed them in some truffle oil and fresh parsley, and now we're gonna go ahead and plate up, okay? And this is important. We went through all this effort to make this special. This is the last leg of the journey. Make sure you show them that you care with a nice plating. So we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna take our beautiful sauce and we're just gonna go right over the top of that. And if you get a little too much sauce on, that's okay. That's what those fries are for. That's called sop and gravy. So this is our beautiful steak au poivre. This is a great starter for a special dinner party. Then we have crème brûlée to finish off. But I just wanted to say thanks, guys, for tuning in and cooking with me. I truly hope these two dishes seem a little less snooty and pretentious, because these really are some winners. I want to give my title sponsor, Alto-Shaam, a special thank you. Even though they are known worldwide as top dog in the industry, they somehow have kept their Midwest nice roots. And like I said, oftentimes when I call, they pick up on the first ring. But I hope I have the opportunity to share more dishes with you, whether it's a Wisconsin fish fry or steak Diane, from rustic to regal.